everybody? Rob Doster here from the Field of 68 and the Top Dogs podcast. Got myself a nice little cup of coffee here. Get things going in the morning. Got myself a nice little bagel with the schmear. You got just as much cream cheese on that as you have bagel. That's exactly the way that you got to get a bagel when you're in New York City. We are here, Madison Square Garden, Big East Tournament title game. Chance for UConn to win their first Big East title since 2011 when Kemba Walker was still here. And I got to say, I am very, very excited for this game. Before we talk about a little preview, I do just want to touch on the insanity that was Friday night in the Garden. There really is nothing better than Friday night in Madison Square Garden in the Big East tournament when it comes to the best environments and the best atmospheres and the best games. If you look around the country, what you see at all of these conference tournaments are empty seats. What you see are people not standing up. What you see are people not going crazy. What you see are teams that are not quite engaged. Here in the Garden, in the Mecca, in the Big East tournament, when you have UConn St. John's, you have Dan Hurley getting in an argument with one of the biggest boosters and NIL guys for St. John's. You have Rick Pitino getting lit up with a technical foul. You got 185 points between two teams that claim the Garden as their own. And oh, by the way, in the nightcap, you have Providence and Marquette going toe-to-toe with Providence fans going absolutely berserk in the crowd. It was an unbelievable atmosphere, an unbelievable night. It is the reason why I love doing what I do. It is the reason why I fell in love with this ridiculous sport of college basketball. And I don't think you could ask for much more. I don't think you could ask for much more on a Friday night in the Garden. Hopefully tonight's games will be just as good. It's going to be an insane day of basketball overall. This Friday, Saturday, Sunday is one of the most joyous days of the year. And the fact that it happens to coincide with St. Patrick's Day here in New York City means that there is a vibe in this city that it feels alive. It's great. I can't wait for tonight's games to kind of get in there. So I thought last night, what stood out to me more than anything else was that UConn was able to win a game when their defense was getting lit up, right? The Johnny scored 1.3 something points per possession, which is as much as UConn's given up this entire season. You don't see this UConn team give up that many points and get their defense shredded the way that it was shredded last night. Their adjusted defensive efficiency, according to KenPom, dropped from, I think it was 11th to 16th, which is a pretty big job. They are now officially the best offensive team in America, but I think a lot of what happened with them on the defensive side of the ball, more than anything else, it had to do with just the fact that Donovan Clingan was in foul trouble. Samson Johnson got in foul trouble. Steph Castle got in foul trouble. So when you have your two big guys and also your two most important defensive pieces sitting on the bench with fouls, like there's really not much you can do. Like, what are you going to be asking for there? What do you think is going to happen when you don't have your two best defenders on the floor? It kind of took away from the ability to protect the rim. It definitely took away from their ability to get on the offensive glass. I mean, look, Joel Soriano is a massive human being. And when you don't have Donovan Clingan in there to be able to kind of hoover up a whole bunch of those rebounds, there's really not much that you can expect to be able to do. So it was what it was. It was not the greatest offensive performance that we've ever seen. It was not the greatest, it was not the greatest defensive performance we've ever seen, but they did enough to get the job done. And I will just say, I do think that we saw a little bit of the game plan of what you need to be able to do to beat this UConn team. You know, I talked about it. I talked about it yesterday on After Dark on the show that we did from the Garden floor. We talked a little bit about it on Thursday. And I talked about it on Top Dogs yesterday, but I just think that the game plan for any team to beat UConn, it can't replicate what Kansas did and what Creighton did, right? Because both of them just shot the absolute lights out. There's you can't go into a game saying, okay, we're going to make 17 of 28 from three. You can't do it. That's just it's one of those things that just happens. So I don't think that that's necessarily what you can go and say, this is what we're going to try to do to beat these guys. Now, I do think that if your game plan is we're going to try to get Donovan Clingan in foul trouble, we're going to go right at him. We're going to try to get him out of the game. When he's out of the game, we're going to get on the offensive glass. And when he's out of the game, we're going to allow our guards, Dennis Jenkins, Jordan Dingle, to try to get going offensively, right? To be able to beat some of these, bigger, a little bit slower UConn guards off the bounce and see if they can create some in isolation. And I think that's what you have to be able to do to beat them. And I thought St. John's executed that about as well as anybody has this entire season. But, at the end of the day, um, it just wasn't enough for what UConn is on the offensive end of the floor. So that leads me to Marquette. That leads me to this game against Marquette. I'm not going to talk about the guy in red. I'm not going to talk about the fan interaction. Like we talked about that enough last night. That story has kind of jumped the shark. Once you have fans doing media scrums with the reporters that are in the building, I think we've kind of reached a level where it's all right. We don't need we can kind of move on from this conversation. It's a little bit too much. It has jumped the shark. Marquette. Um, Look, I think that this is a very winnable game. I think it's a question of whether or not Tyler Kolek is going to play. All the signs that come out of Marquette is that I don't think that they are going to play him. My expectation is that he is not going to see time today. Um, here's the situation. So he's got this muscle oblique injury, right? That's a strain. It's the kind of injury that can be aggravated and that can be worsened by playing on it. And this is not a you can tough it out kind of a thing, right? Like if you rolled your ankle, you got a bum ankle, then it just becomes a pain management and a pain tolerance kind of a thing, right? Where you play and if it hurts too much, then you sit out. If you got a bone bruise in your knee, like Kevin McCullough, it's just a pain tolerance and a pain management thing. You're not going to make the injury worse by playing on it. When you got a muscle issue, a soft tissue issue, that's something that can be worse by playing. And he's not going to be cleared until he is told by the doctor, or he's not going to be allowed to play until he's told by the doctors that he is medically cleared to be able to get out on the floor. And that's going to be when it's no longer a risk to aggravate or re-injure that muscle. And I don't know if it's going to be a difference between yesterday and today that'll get him on the floor. I did see him yesterday, and I asked him if I told him that he better be ready for the NCAA tournament, and he gave me one of those, no doubt. Um, and I think that given given the fact that it is UConn that they are playing, given the fact that Marquette won the Big East tournament live, like it's not to say that they don't want to win, but they've done this before, right? So if they're going to say, okay, if you got to pick one to go all in on, you're probably going to pick the NCAA tournament to go all in on, considering that you won the Big East tournament last year. You got knocked out as a 7 seed. Like that's just what I would do if I was the one making the decision. If you got to pick one, I want him back for March. Like I know that I was talking with Jarrell McNeil. Obviously, he's doing a shows with us here. He's a Marquette grad, was the former Marquette leading scorer. Still super tied into that program. Still knows all those guys really well. Great dude. Loves Marquette as much as we all love UConn, and it's going to be fun to talk a little shit to him over the course of the next 10, 11 hours until this game is over. But I do think that one thing we were talking about last night is when it comes to UConn versus Marquette, right? Like there's a reason why UConn and St. John's don't like each other right now. And that is because Dan Hurley and Rick Pitino have their beef, right? Because you got these two prideful, confident guys from the New York area that are very similar in their will to win and the way that they kind of want to do everything they can to find a way to win a game. And it's not a surprise to me at all that two guys like that are going to be bumping heads when they're trying to win the same stuff every single year, right? Not a surprise at all. UConn Providence, the local rivalry, right? There's a reason why those two groups don't get along. Their fans are it's the similar mentality when it comes to being able to kind of run your mouth and talk a little bit. The vulgarity, like there's a reason why those two fan bases don't get along. There's a reason why those two programs don't get along. There's a reason why that rivalry exists, right? I get all that. It's rooted in something a little bit different than just basketball. When it comes to Marquette UConn, right? The reason why there is, I don't want to say a dislike, but there is something brewing there where there is a little bit of maybe beef is even too strong, but just for a lack of a better term in the moment, like the reason why there is a beef there is because of the success that these two programs had last year and the fact that both of them kind of want what the other one had. And what I mean by that is UConn won the national title last year, right? Like that is the pinnacle of the sport. That is what every single coach is going for. That is how you get honored. That is how you get recognized. That is how people determine if you're one of the greatest ever. Like that is what you have to do is win 6 games in the NCAA tournament in March, back weekends, winning back-to-back games. UConn did that last year. What UConn didn't do was win the Big East regular season title, was win the Big East tournament title, and was win the 3-game series with against Marquette, right? That's what Marquette has over UConn's head. UConn wants that, right? If you Hurley's been very clear about this. We've talked about this on the show with him. You talk with people around the program, and like they want that. They want that Big East regular season title, and they got it. They want that Big East tournament title, and they're a win away from getting it. They want all that stuff that Marquette got last year, as well as winning the national title again. But they want that other stuff, right? He keeps talking about winning the quadruple crown. Um, Big East regular season, Big East tournament, Final Four, national title. They want all that stuff, um, and that's what Marquette got last year. And so, like, it's been a thorn in UConn's side that Marquette had those titles and could claim legitimately that they were the best team in the Big East when UConn was the best team in the country, right? And for Marquette, it's a thorn in their side that despite being the best team in the Big East and winning both the Big East championships, UConn was recognized as the best team in the country. So like there's um, this competitive head to head about nothing more than just what happened on the court, right? And I love that about this matchup. I love that about these two programs. I love that about this rivalry. It's not about like, yeah, you know what, F you, you're the school down the road. Yeah, you know what, these guys are this. You know what, this coach is this. I don't like the way that he does this. There's gonna be a beef about it. My guy's gonna be yelling at you from sitting courtside. The battle is about what happens on the court. There's a level of, at least from I think from the UConn's point of view, and I do believe from the Marquette point of view, but there's a level of respect at the ability on both sides. Like it just, this is the kind of rivalry that really gets me fired up about basketball, because you have two teams that are going to play two different ways. They're going to have two different styles, two coaches who are elite at developing culture, and that are elite at developing programs and developing players that do it in different ways. Like it just, everything about these two programs, I think, is what's great about the sport of college basketball. It's great about the Big East, and I am so fired up that we get this game tonight. This is kind of what I was hoping for, right? This is the matchup that I was hoping for. This is the matchup that I wanted to see. It sucks that Kolek probably isn't going to play. I think it would be, it would be awesome if he just kind of pulled the Willis Reed and showed up in his, showed up on the sideline and was like, hey, guess what? I'm here, motherfuckers. And it's going to be awesome. I'm going to be able to sit there with my guy, Jarrell McNeil, and be able to hang out and watch this game and roll my mouth a little bit. That's the best part about this, right? He's hanging out with your guys, watching some hoops, talking a little mess, and enjoying the moment. And that is going to be exactly what I do tonight. I can't wait. Hopefully, tomorrow morning, we can reconnect, and we're going to be talking about how UConn is the Big East tournament champion. So without further ado, I'm going to let you guys go. I am going to drop in here an interview that I did with Dan Hurley last night after the semifinal win, because why not? If I got the content, I might as well share it. So that's it for now. And hopefully tomorrow morning, we're going to have some happy news. See you guys then. There is nothing better in sports than tournament time, which is why I need to tell you guys about our partners over at Rhythm. If you're into sports betting, you need Rhythm, the place for data-backed props and picks. For those that are unfamiliar, Rhythm, spelled RITHMM, is the go-to mobile app for player props and game picks. Backed by AI predictive models, Rhythm helps you make smarter and faster betting decisions across all sports, but particularly college basketball. With Rhythm, you get data-backed picks for every single Division I game, every single day. Users get free picks daily with the ability to upgrade to unlimited access. If you want to increase your edge and win more bets, go to the link in the description and download Rhythm today. That's RITHMM, the place for data-backed props and picks. And while we're here, let me tell you about our newest partner for the month of March, Splash Sports, the home of certified community competition, where you get to play against your friends and not the house. Whatever game it is that you are playing, from survivors to tiers to pick X, the safest way to play for real money without the hassle of having to track down on deposits or worry about payments is through Splash. They have partnered with PaySafe, the best deposit and payment system in the world, to ensure that money stays in safe hands and is delivered to the right places. To join the Field of 68 Survivor Madness, click the link in our profile below and join in. Entries are $5 a pop with a prize pool of up to $4,500. Winner take all. Join Splash and come prove that you're smarter than us. By now, you guys have surely heard about Autograph, an app founded by Tom Brady with the intention of disrupting the way that fans consume content covering their favorite teams. This is how the app works. All of the podcasters, bloggers, and digital creators covering a team have their content sent to that team's page in the Autograph app. Instead of having to bounce from site to site or trying to navigate the safer workspaces on Twitter, you can just scroll through Autograph. This isn't a hard sell. This is the truth. I am a UConn fan, and I use the Autograph app to keep up with the writers I read and the pods that I listen to about UConn basketball. The best part is that every piece of content that you consume gives you reward points. The more you get, the more chances you have at things like discounted tickets to games and the grand prize, a trip to the LA Regional and a spot in a suite for the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 games. Here's the best part. We've partnered with Autograph to donate $1 to the V Foundation every time someone downloads the app using the code F68, with a minimum of $2,500 getting donated. The app is free. So download, use the code F68, help us raise a little bit of money for cancer research, and give Autograph a try. I promise you it will be worth it. And while we're here, a quick reminder, make sure that you subscribe to the Daily. We have new landing pages with deep dives into each coaching change, as well as a tracker that provides scouting reports on the transfers that have entered the portal that you are going to want to know about. Hit the link below to subscribe. Now let me welcome onto the Field of 68 After Dark UConn head coach Dan Hurley, fresh off of a win over St. John's in the Garden. Dan, that was as wild of an atmosphere as I've seen in the Garden in 15 years coming to games here.
I just think that every way that game delivered, it's rare, the anticipation of the game, once they won yesterday, and the possibility, of the matchup, and I just think it lived up to the hype. It had a little bit of everything. It had high-level shot making. It had obviously a lot of passion, intensity. It was just, I think, if you were at this game or you watch it on TV, it doesn't get better than that.
You seem to thrive in that kind of environment. Your guys, Tristen and Cam specifically, never seem to get rattled. Like, that was the thing that stood out to me the most about this game, is that it's going nuts everywhere in the building, and Tristan's just kind of out there like, I'm going to put up 25 and 9, one turnover against the pressure for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
How comforting is it to know that you have those guys to be able to handle that situation?
I just think Tristen, and it took me a while to have the level of appreciation that I probably should have had from the start of, if you've got a lot of fire, you got to have some ice. And our backcourt is fire and ice. It's the best backcourt in the country. And, just the respect that Tristen's earned and what he's done in big games and as a national champion. And, I think we play off each other really, really well, and probably change the way I recruit. I'll probably look for some more calm customers moving forward to balance out my absolute insanity.
Just make sure you got one Cam on your teams every year, right?
I kind of love that, right? I think, twins, Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger or some shit.
Which one is Danny DeVito out of those two?
I'm in worse shape.
Yeah, there you go. How you're in a chance to make it to the Big East title game here, and I know that we talked about it in before the season, that you were trying, that was a thorn in your side, that you won the national championship, you didn't win the Big East championship. So you got the Big East regular season title. What would it mean to pick up this Big East tournament title?
I just think right now for this group of players, and for Cam Spencer, and then the holdovers from last year that are going for big things, it's like hitting for the cycle. It's like going for the quadruple crown, man. And the one thing that Tristen Newton and Caravan and Clingan and Sampson and Hassan and the coaching staff is missing is the Big East Tournament Championship. So I think that's something that drives us. I also think that the level that programs like Houston and Purdue have played at this year, and the excellence, I think that's pushed us as well. We look at what the top programs are doing, and that's been really, really motivating as well.
You said in the press conference that you asked for the fan in red, who I guess he's going to be famous now, the guy in red, to stay. Yeah. What would it take for you to have a fan get kicked out of a game at this point?
I mean, when I walked through the tunnel, obviously there were a bunch of Seton Hall. I'm sure they were there too. St. John's fans waiting for me that almost fell through the awning to call me, a bunch of words that you don't even hear in Jersey City. But he was way out of line. He should have been removed organically. I shouldn't have had to point that out. But then, I didn't want him to stay because I think he's a good guy. I wanted him to stay strictly for selfish purposes because we were up at the half. If we were down 2 at the half, I probably would have had him removed.
Well, just say you're selfless here. Dan Hurley, forever selfless, keeping fans in the game.
I have a soft side to me.
The best month of the year is here, which is why you need to know that we are now partnered with BetMGM. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 throughout the conference and NCAA tournament. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use the bonus code FIELD150 and you'll get $150 in free bets on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not that bet hits. Here's how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD150. Deposit at least $5 and place your first wager on any game, and you get $150 in free bets regardless of the outcome. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD150 when you sign up. And most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the conference tournaments and for the NCAA tournament. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, and what I love the most, a nice little parlay boost, as well as a ridiculous array of prop bets for anything that you could possibly imagine betting on in March and in early April. BetMGM is the king of the prop bet. So go download the BetMGM app, use Field150 as the code, and sign up today. And while I've got you here, a quick request. The best way to support the Field of 68 content that you get here for absolutely free is to engage with it. Rate and review the podcast. Like and share YouTube videos. Tell your friends about us. It all helps in a world where the algorithm is king. And now, back to our show.